Hi, this is Mrs. Duncan, your instructor for English 102 online, and I wanted to take you through and talk to you a little bit about how a typical 5-act or even a 3-act drama is structured according to plot. Now, you can take Freytag's pyramid and apply it to really almost any piece of literature, a novel, or fiction, but we're going to look at it and apply it to a dollhouse, and it's more act-oriented rather than chapters. You can't really do it with chapters. Gustav Freytag is a German theorist who came up with this pattern that he observed in a typical 5-act tragedy. Now, Dollhouse is 3 acts, but it still, goes through the same movements. The first one, and if probably by now you have read Act 1, is the exposition. And if you look here, you would have Act 1 is the exposition, Act 2 rising action, the climax occurring there midway, and usually at the end of Act 2, a turning point, and then or Act 3 rather, and then Act 4 is falling action, and the denouement or the resolution is Act 5. Our play will go through all of these movements. It will have an exposition with an inciting moment. It will have rising action and a climax and falling action and a resolution, but it won't follow it in a 5-act structure. Matter of fact, the climax will occur later. There'll be a turning point, and the denouement won't be as extended. The exposition is the introductory material. It's one of the reasons why your Act 1 is so long. It gives the setting, it introduces the characters, it gives all the background that's necessary for understanding really the conflict. The inciting moment is that moment that sets the conflict in motion. You'll see that this is related to Krogstad showing up, some information that he has for her, a threat that he has against her, and so her nice happy little world that she's been telling Mrs. Lind all about, giving you of course all this background information through that conversation, is about to be unsettled. So once Krogstad enters the picture and has this threat, there's all kinds of reaction to that. She's trying to keep it in control, trying to manipulate circumstances, but at some point it's going to come to a head, and there's going to be a turning point in the action. Something's going to happen. Now, in some conflicts, it means the conflict itself comes to a head. There's a fight, there's a confrontation. We're going to see that this is going to take a couple of shifts and turns. It's a little more complex than that. You're going to see that maybe, Krogstad, I don't want to have any spoilers here, but maybe Krogstad follows through with this threat. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Helmer finds out the secret. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's all Nora's crime is going, or her secret is going to be exposed to everybody else too. But whatever happens there is the climax when that comes to bear. What's going to happen based on this threat that Krogstad makes, and then the result of that is going to be the falling action. And Ibsen does extends this out much longer, so that it doesn't happen right in the middle of the play, and the falling action, we really don't know what's going to happen, and then the falling action very quickly moves to a resolution. And like I said, I don't want to give away, be a spoiler, but there's part of a resolution that seems to be happy, and then it's going to turn again, and kind of an underlying situation that's been not really on the surface is going to come out and change how this thing ends. A denouement is usually for a tragedy. Remember, this is the structure for a tragedy. This is not a comedy. And it's very different. It's more of a social drama, so it doesn't follow this exactly. It's not only the resolution of the conflict, but an explanation of all the secrets and misunderstandings connected with the plot. So we'll have more of a denouement. It's going to be more than just, oh, we made it through that conflict. No, there's a lot more complexity to it, and so we'll see that. So as you are looking at the plot and the conflict, be aware that there is a pattern in these, whether they follow them exactly, like our play doesn't follow this it follows it, but it doesn't follow it, right? The climax isn't in the middle, it's closer to the end, but there is an exposition, there is an inciting moment, there is reaction, rising action, there is going to be a turning point, the conflict is going to come to a head, there's going to be some consequences to that, and finally the whole thing is going to kind of come to some sort of ending. So be aware of that as you move through the acts. I've got a worksheet at the end that takes each act, and we're looking for those movements through the play, trying to determine, well, what exactly is the climax? How has this been resolved? What are the loose ends, and how did they get tied up? So hopefully you'll get more out of it, and just you'll get the story, but you'll also see how the plot is, how Ibsen is moving the plot strategically and crafting this dramatic masterpiece.